One of the most interesting stories developing during this 2022 F1 season is the changing of the public perception around Mick Schumacher. More and more people on social media are growing concerns about the German's ability, and his place in F1 is starting to be questioned time and again. Let's start with the obvious. Mick's talent is unquestionable and he has the potential to be a solid driver on the grid. But his performances this season have been lackluster. Before looking at the 2022 season, let's quickly look at his junior career. Both in F2 and F3, it has taken Mick multiple seasons to be on the pace with the leading pack. He only finished 12th in his first F3 season and managed to win the championship on his second try. The same story can be told about his career in F2, where after finishing 12th in the championship in his first season, he became F2's champion of the 2020 season. The next logical step for the German was F1, where he would team up with fellow F2 graduate Nikita Mazepin at Haas. Now the Haas VF21 was by far the worst car on the grid, so neither rookie could truly show off their talents. Mick easily beat Nikita, who was the worst driver on the grid and only had a place in the sport thanks to his dad's financial backing. Despite the Haas being a tractor, Mick did show off his talent on a couple of occasions, like at the Hungarian GP where he was fighting with Max Verstappen on track, or qualifying at the Turkish GP, where the German managed to put his car into Q2 in wet conditions. But as it was the case in junior categories, Mick struggled a bit on track during his first season and was the costliest driver on the grid, costing the American outfit $4.75 million in replacement expenses. The general consensus around Schumacher's first season was that he was good, but he couldn't show off what he was truly capable of because of the car provided to him. The German also didn't have anyone to learn from since he was paired up with a fellow rookie. The 2022 season quickly became an opportunity for Schumacher. Haas didn't develop their car in 2021, instead focusing on the regulations coming up next year to bounce back where they once were. Not only did the car develop, but some personal change also came, as Nikita Mazepin was replaced by experienced driver Kevin Magnussen. Kevin was not only experienced in F1, he also drove for Haas for 3 seasons straight. This was an opportunity for Mick to show that he truly deserves his place in F1, as by beating an experienced teammate, Mick could show that he isn't only in F1 because of his legendary surname. An atmosphere change also happened at Haas, with Kevin replacing Nikita, replacing the toxicity that started to become the norm at Haas. From what is shared to the public, Mick is easy to work with, and engineers are happy to work with him, which is important for an entity to work well together. But after 6 races, Mick's season isn't working out as he wished, and he is currently lacking behind his teammate. The season opener at Bahrain saw a gap of half a second between the cars, with Schumacher qualifying 12th while Magnussen managed to get into Q3, qualifying 7th. The race didn't fare any better, with Schumacher being spun on the first lap by Ocon, forcing the German into a recovery drive into 11th, while Kevin scored the team's best result in over 2 years with 5th. Jeddah saw Schumacher's first true mistake of the season, with Mick crashing into the wall during qualifying, forcing him to miss out on the race, while his teammate made it into Q3 and finished 9th on Sunday, scoring 2 more points. This crash was more damaging to the team, considering the repairs costing near $1 million, which is even more expensive in the new cost cap era. Australia was a minor bounce back for Mick, as he managed to out-qualify and finish better than Kevin, but the car wasn't on pace for any point-paying position. For the first time in the season, he got the better of his teammate, but unfortunately wasn't rewarded with any championship points. In Imola, Mick did well in the sprint to start 10th on Sunday, with his teammate starting P8 after qualifying 4th. But Sunday came with Mick's second mistake of the season, by spinning on the first lap of the race, unable to recover any meaningful positions, while his teammate brought his season tally to 15 points. Arguably, Mick's worst race of the season came in Miami. After only qualifying 15th, the German was in for a shot of his first points of the season, before crashing into Vettel with a few laps to go. Spain didn't fare any better for either Haases, as a mixture of bad strategy call and a lack of race pace meant that Mick finished 14th and Kevin finished 17th despite qualifying 10th and 8th respectively. This all has meant that after 6 races of the season, Kevin has been dominating his teammate and scored all 15 points of the team. We also have to consider that the Dane was called up last minute and didn't have any testing with the car, but one testing session. Schumacher remains the only driver with Nicolas Latifi and Nico Hülkenberg to not have any points during this season. This season is crucial for Mick, as the numbers of doubters of his abilities is growing, and he needs to prove that he deserves his spot in the sport. There are many other Ferrari Academy drivers like Mick wanting to take that seat at Haas, and Mick needs to do everything he can to keep it. Haas would also want to maximize the potential of their car and maybe looking elsewhere if Mick can't bring the performances needed. Team principal Günther Steiner already warned the young German, saying that, quote, a queue of drivers want his seat. Pressure is on Mick to turn his season around. It remains up to him to deliver. I do believe that he has the capabilities to be an F1 and has shown flashes of being a great driver, but the consistency is just not there yet. I think that this famous Gattuso clip sums up his F1 career so far.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Realistically speaking, Haas will not drop him before the end of the season, but I do think that if Mick undelivers for the rest of the season, they might be looking elsewhere for 2023. And if Mick is dropped by Haas, I'm not sure if he stays in the sport. It would be a shame to not have him in the sport because he's very likable and it's nice to see the Schumacher name in F1. As I've mentioned earlier, perhaps he won't be the world beater his dad was, but I can see him in the future being a solid midfield driver if he can stay consistent. But what do you guys think? Has Mick shown enough to keep his seat or should he be dropped by Haas? What does the future hold for him? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to see what you guys have to say.